Last night's episode of Monday Night Raw felt like a Raw after WrestleMania. That's how good it was. That's how stacked it was. Welcome to Allison Analysis. I'm Ben Allison and I analysed last night's episode of Monday Night Raw and here are my 5 key findings that I want to discuss with you guys. Before we do get started, if you could like and subscribe, that would very much be appreciated. But in at number 5, WWE are no longer treating us fans like we're forgetful, and any big botches that will happen, well, we'll just forget about them. Under the Vince McMahon regime, if anything like the finish to Gunther vs Randy Orton from King of the Ring happened, well, WWE would have glossed over it, pretended that it would have never happened, and just never acknowledged it. But under the Triple H regime, well, it's very, very different. Triple H gave Randy Orton a rematch clause, and Randy Orton waited until Gunther won the championship to cash in that rematch. It makes a lot of sense, and I absolutely love it. Of course, if you didn't see what happened at King of the Ring, Randy Orton was pinned when his shoulders weren't actually on the ground. It was a pretty bad botch after a pretty good match, but I said at the time that that match historically will not go down as a failure or like a big botch or anything like that, as long as they actually capitalize on the finish and don't ignore it. And for a while I was worried they did ignore it, but finally they're capitalizing on it and I'm really happy about it. We all knew that Gunther would obviously be competing at Bash at Berlin, probably main eventing the pay-per-view, but none of us really could work out, none of us could predict who it was going to be against, and Randy Orton, well, that is best case scenario right there. I mean, the Dragunov match would have been a lot of fun too, but let's face it, Dragunov just hasn't been built to that level on the main roster just yet, but down the line, we also need to see that. The only thing that would have made this better is if WWE didn't break the brand split again on the same night, because of course Awesome Truth took on A-Town Down Under, and there was reasons for both, but even still, it felt a little bit too much like the wildcard rule for my personal liking. But anyway, I cannot wait for Gunther vs Randy Orton. Like I said, I absolutely adored their last match apart from the finish, and now I can like the finish as well, because it's led to this, so I'm hyped. In at number 4, WWE must have big plans for big Bronson Reed, because that attack last night on Seth Rollins was absolutely brutal. It was out of nowhere and made Bronson Reed look like a complete and utter star. I mean, that is how you establish somebody. I saw somebody in the comments say, this is the Bronson Reed who beat Okada clean in the G1, and yeah, that is this Bronson Reed, and I cannot wait to see more of him. I also like how they're still making us wait for Punk versus Rollins. They're not giving it to us. They want us to want it more and more and more, and eventually we'll get it. I'm guessing at WrestleMania. But the other interesting note from this segment was Drew McIntyre has now beaten CM Punk. He could have moved on, but he didn't. He is still letting his obsession with CM Punk get in the way of him advancing his career. And again, I'm loving that storytelling. That segment last night was absolutely terrific. Brilliant job by everyone involved. At number 3, the sun is setting on the New Day. Last night, after a year of waiting, well, over a year of waiting, Odyssey Jones finally made his debut on the main roster. And now I want to know why we had to wait so long, because last night he looked absolutely incredible. From what I saw of him in NXT, he looked great as well. I mean, this guy could be a star, and he could be the newest member of the New Day. But he could also be the reason that the New Day break up, because of course Xavier Woods did not look too happy about this, did he? And there are 2 possible ways that this could go. The first way is Odyssey Jones legitimately does join the New Day, and honestly they've needed something different for a while now, and that very much could be it. But the other option, and potentially, and well in my opinion probably the most likely option, is that the New Day is going to split up, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but Xavier Woods was very much not happy with Odyssey Jones helping them out. He was looking at Kofi like, what are you doing? Why wasn't I involved in this? Did Karrion Kross get in his head? The craziest thing about this is that if the New Day really do split up, well then they would have formed and split up in the time between GTA 5 and GTA 6. And that's just absolutely insane because it feels like the New Day has been around for forever now. At number 2, WWE have found the perfect balance with the Wyatt 6. I was always a fan of Bray Wyatt in WWE, but there were a few times where things didn't really work out, and that was when things got too supernatural. But it seems with the Wyatt 6, they're trying to stay away from that stuff. The presentation of them, well, it is very spooky, it is very over the top, but when it gets to the in-ring stuff, well, the lights turn on, the masks come off, and they still look absolutely insane. They still look crazy, but they look realistic too. They aren't turning the lights off, the crowd can still feel involved because the lights are on. They were a lot louder, And also the in-ring stuff, well, that just looked a lot more impressive too, because they were like brawlers. It was great. I really am glad they're staying away from the supernatural stuff, because wrestling is at its best when you can suspend your disbelief. So, it's not impossible to understand, but it might be a little bit spooky. Maybe they have hacked the production truck. Maybe they have bribed an official or something to get out the ring for a big angle to happen. Little things like that, where you can believe it, but it still seems spooky. And I believe that this is what they are doing. I am seriously loving the presentation of the Wyatt Six so far, and I have a really, really good feeling about this faction. And Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy, well, he is absolutely killing it. And at number 1, the Judgment Day is the Bullet Club that Triple H has always wanted. For years, it was rumored, there was always speculation that Triple H wanted his own version of Bullet Club. He wanted a faction where the members could rotate over the years, and it was rumored that the Undisputed Era was going to be that faction, but as they all left the company, well, that was a little too difficult. Now, there have been a few factions in the history of WWE which have had, rotating members and all of that, but not many of them have actually worked, and none of them really have been ongoing for years and years and years, but I'm guessing that's what they're going to do with the Judgment Day. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are out, and Carlito and Liv Morgan are officially in. I mean, I was a critic of Carlito being involved with the Judgment Day over the last few months. It made no sense to me at all. Well, guess what? It makes sense now. They've given the reason for it. I take everything back. Triple H, I'm sorry for doubting you. This was incredible storytelling. I mean, the Judgment Day have become such a key part of WWE television, a key part of Monday Night Raw, that if they did just but if they did just split up, well, it would have hurt the product. It would have left a real hole in Monday Night Raw, in my opinion. So I'm really glad that they've given it the new fresh vibe that it needs, but at the same time, they've kept the faction going. And long term, this is really exciting to think about now from a fantasy booking perspective, because will Dominic Mysterio eventually kick out Finn Balor? I think so, because one thing which I haven't even mentioned is I don't think Dominic Mysterio necessarily needs the Judgment Day, but it certainly helps him. It's a huge part of his character, and I definitely think he could be a future leader for the group. But yeah, overall, I absolutely loved last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. It was exactly what a post-premium live event TV episode should be. There was a few good matches, but for the most part, it focused on storytelling, and storytelling is key. It is the lifeblood of this industry. You hear me say it all the time, but it is true. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe, and I will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place for WR News. But make sure to check out tonight's WR Daily broadcast, as well as NXT Off the Air, NXT Post Show, which goes live immediately following NXT with Clark, Drizzy, and Shard. I hope to see some of you guys there. Have a great day. Peace!